championship matches in Class A. It'll be Scott Nachtigal of Kearney facing TJ Goeglein of Lincoln East. In Class B, it'll be Brad Cooper of Ogallala meeting Scott Antoniak. There we go. Scott Antoniak of Omaha Gross. In Class C, it'll be Dusty Noha of Wahoo facing Chris Bohr of Albion. And in Class D, John Howell of Mullen meeting Terry Harms of Weeping Water.
Two more matches again with the number 1 and 2 wrestlers coming up against each other. Scott Nachtigal from Kearney in Class A is also ranked number 1, but he's wrestling the number 4 wrestler, Goeglein, from Lincoln East. Nachtigal won a real exciting match here in the semifinals last night with a last-second escape and double over, and I mean last-second escape, when double overtime over Ed Enyard, the last year's state champion. So
in Class B, we have a number 1 against number 2 ranked wrestler, Brad Cooper. Ogallala ranked number 2 at 34-2. Antoniak undefeated at 29-0 from Omaha Gross. He's ranked number 1. And in D, Terry Harms ranked number 1. He's 35-3. He's a senior. John Hall, 32-4, a junior from Mullen, ranked number 2.
Well, Albion, we got a near fall situation in D.
And going for the pin is Terry Harms of Weeping Water, and he's so close to getting the pin over John Hall.
I don't think he's going to be able to do it because of the fact they're on that out of bounds line. He wanted it, though. He went after it. That is going to give him a 5-0 lead right off the bat. We do have a score in Class C. Wahoo has jumped out Dusty Noha. Dusty Noha has jumped out to a 2-0 lead over Chris Bohr of Albion.
Should mention Chris' brother Doug Bohr is a 3-time state champion. And believe it or not, I actually got to wrestle in the weight with his dad, Gail Bohr, who went to my home high school, Elgin Pope John.
Now that doesn't make you feel a little buzzy.
Well, Gail was a lot better wrestler, and he was a lot smaller than me. He could still whip me. Well, we have a stoppage now in Class D, and I think another one of the blood situations. Chris Bohr, of course, the big situation there is he's trying to help get that team title for Albion. But Chris has really come on. He's 23-6, but he's got a lot of victories down the stretch. And Dusty Noha, 31-1, so that's really a big matchup there. Noha, a little bit of a favorite there, ranked number 2 in the state.
Yeah, he placed 5th last year at 152 pounds. Over in Class B, we got Scott Antoniak, 29-0, the number 1 ranked wrestler against Brad Cooper. They're 0-0 as we're coming close to the end of the first. Antoniak being number 1 wrestler, he struggled a little bit last night. I saw him in actually both Thursday and Friday in the quarterfinals and the semifinals, only winning 3-2 and 3-1. I think he's going to have to pick up the pace a little bit to hold off Brad Cooper from Ogallala.
Well, right now in Class A, TJ Goeglein of Lincoln East has come up with a 2-1 lead over Scott Nachtigal of Kearney. And they just have a second remaining in the first period. Nachtigal again 33-1, Goeglein 26-6.
Those guys have wrestled 3 times this year with Nachtigal from Kearney coming out on top in all 3 of them. So.
Yeah, I think that'll be one of the exciting down to the finish as well. Right now there's a 5-0 lead in Class D for
that's Terry Harms.
Terry Harms. Still no score over in Class B. That one's been even Steven. And in Class C, it's still 2-0. Dusty Noha, Wahoo leading Chris Bohr of Albion.
Brad Cooper of Ogallala just scored a reversal in the second period on Class B to take a 2-0 lead over Scott Antoniak of Omaha Gross. Still 2-0 on C for Dusty Noha over Chris Bohr of Albion. Albion still trying to wrap up that team title, like you said. Goeglein doing a good job of not letting Nachtigal get away there.
But I tell you, watching this Class C match between Noha and Bohr, Dusty Noha is just excellent in the way he positions himself and really stays deep on a wrestler, really stays underneath and always seems to be in position. Noha had a tough semifinal match, which he won 4-2. And really had a tough time. Bohr kind of blew his way into the finals, 19-4, 14-4, and 10-3. But right now it's Noha with the 2-0 lead in the second period. We're 5-0 in Class D with Terry Harms of Weeping Water with the lead. In Class B,
Harms has got another cradle locked up. If he's able to if he's able to sit through, he'll probably be able to get more near fall points out of this situation against John Howell of Mullen.
Noha trying to get a cradle going there in Class C, but Chris Bohr does a nice job to get out of it. In Class A, it's still 2-1 with Goeglein leading Nachtigal. And in Class B, we are at 2-0 with Brad Cooper leading Antoniak of Omaha Gross, Cooper from Ogallala.
A minute to go in Class A. Nachtigal still not able to get out from the bottom of TJ Goeglein.
They are in the second period in A, that minute left. In fact, all our matches in the second period right now. And again, Noha has really gotten several opportunities to try to get some back points, but then Bohr finds a way to squirm out of it, and he does it again.
We got an escape in Class D to make the score 5-1 in favor of Terry Harms. Looks like we're going to have a blood stoppage again on B, so...
And in A. We've had, I have never seen so many of those types of situations that we have in our championship matches. There's Noha, again, getting a pretty good chance.
He's got that cross arm ride pretty deep. He's able to elevate that leg. He might catch him.
Well, I tell you,
able to roll through.
He's done that about 6 times already. He has just been unbelievable in finding a way to get out of that. But then you got to wonder, does Noha have the upper hand? And Noha leading 2-0. And 10 seconds to go in this period.
Noha did a real good job that period of riding him out. Didn't really ever get himself in too much trouble. That's going to wear on Chris Bohr a little bit. Be Noha's choice here in the third period. I assume he'll probably take the down position.
We're tied at 2 in Class A now. Nachtigal and Goeglein tied 2-2 with 50 seconds to go in the second period. Class B, we're still 2-0 with Brad Cooper leading Antoniak, and in Class D, a 5-1 lead remains for Terry Harms, and Harms getting those 5 points in that first period, and they're holding up so far as they got 12 seconds to go in the second period. We are going to the third period in Class C, and now Noha is going to take an injury time out, I believe. Yes, he hurt a finger. He's going to have taped out.
Got a possible change going to happen here in B. Yes, the referee did award the escape to Scott Antoniak. Loss of control by Brad Cooper, so that makes it 2-1 with 47 seconds remaining in the second period. Still 2-2 as we wrap up the second period in Class A. 10 seconds left over there in that period.
Still tied at 2 in Class A. 7 seconds going to go in the second period, and that's turning out to be an outstanding match.
We've got the third period started over here in Class D. Terry Harms on the bottom, still leading 5-1.
And in Class C, Dusty Noha, the senior from Wahoo, will take the bottom, and Bohr will be on top, trailing 2-0. And immediately Noha gets a reversal. I just had a feeling he might do that. Noha comes up with a reversal just like that. And again, Chris Bohr has just been in kind of desperation the whole time.
There's a warning for stalling against Cooper in Class B. Doesn't affect the score yet. It's still 2-1. That's his first warning as the second period ends.
Now we have in Class D, we have an injury situation. The wrestler who's leading, Terry Harms, leading 5-1, I believe it is. And he has an elbow injury right now.
I think with a 5-1 lead, you'll probably be able to tough it out. We've seen a lot of kids tough it out today. I've been impressed with a lot of these kids.
And now, Chris Bohr.
He got a reversal to make it 4-2. Then Noha got warned for stalling for another point, so that makes it 4-3. With a minute to go, this match still is a long way from being over.
So in Class C, it's 4-3. Dusty Noha leading Chris Bohr of Albion. Chris Bohr will be on top with 1:02 to go in the third period. And Terry Harms does get back into action in Class D. Harms on the bottom right now, leading it 5-1 with 1:17 to go third period.
2-1 over in B. This is a good match as well. Scott Antoniak is losing 2-1 from Gross, but he's the down wrestler. All he needs is an escape to tie this match up. You've got to remember as well, Brad Cooper has been warned for stalling in Class B.
And right now, I'm trying to get the score in Class A, but the two coaches.
There's a warning against TJ Goeglein.
And
it's 3-2 in favor of Goeglein. He's just been warned for stalling. How much time do we have left?
27 seconds remaining, so he'll have to be careful, or Nachtigal will pick up a penalty point, and that would tie it up. And I think that's very close to happening right now. And now the coaches over from East High being warned a little bit. I'm glad to get him to sit down so we can see the score, but I can understand their excitement. That winds down 15 seconds.
That's a good move right there by Goeglein. He looked at it, he made it appear as if he may not have been a real attack, but he made it appear as if he was on attack to avoid that stalling call. He keeps shooting in on the leg. That's really smart wrestling for Goeglein.
Well, Dusty Noha in Class C has jumped out now 7-3 over Chris Bohr of Albion.
Well, not yet. 4 seconds left. As long as he can circle, and referees advising the Lincoln East coaches to sit back in their chairs. You got to look at this as somewhat. There's a takedown for him. Give him a 5-2 win in favor of TJ Goeglein. You got to look at that as an upset. He's been beat by Nachtigal 3 times this year.
Nachtigal just hadn't wrestled well his last 2 matches. He barely won 4-3, as you said, in overtime in the semifinals, and Goeglein really came on strong. And now Dusty Noha wins over Chris Bohr 7-3, and I think Albion still, I don't believe, has clinched that state title and the team title. And we're at 2-2 yet in Class B between Cooper and Antoniak. And they've got 55 seconds remaining in the 3rd period. It's 6-1. 6-1 in Class D. Terry Harms leading John Howell. Harms from Weeping Water. And there's 17 seconds remaining in that, so it would appear at this point that Terry Harms, a 35-3 senior, is going to win a state championship. And now a takedown. And the takedown will be scored by John Howell, but that will be too little too late. And it's now 6-3. Terry Harms wins at 6-3 in Class D. So we have one match remaining. So again, in Class A, TJ Goeglein of Lincoln East wins a 5-2 over Scott Nachtigal of Kearney. And the winner was Dusty Noha in Class C. And we'll recap the scoring here in a little bit. And in D, our winner was Terry Harms 6-3. But we still have action going in Class B, with the scores knotted up at 2-2, 43 seconds remaining in the 3rd period between Brad Cooper of Ogallala in the black, Scott Antoniak of Omaha Gross in the blue.
35 seconds remaining in that match. We haven't found out a team score yet in Class C. Albion lost another one. I still think Aquinas might be in it. They've got a wrestler coming up here in this next match. Looks like we may end up in overtime on the B mat between Brad Cooper and Scott Antoniak. But you got to remember, Cooper has been warned. I don't know if Antoniak has been warned for stalling. I don't believe that he has.
Right now, Antoniak has wrestled just a little bit better in the match, but Cooper has really done well. Cooper was a runner-up in state last year. Antoniak placed 5th. But Cooper did move up a weight class. And just 1 second remaining, so we're going to have a sudden death overtime in Class B at 160 pounds.
Those wrestlers ranked number 1 and 2. Scott Antoniak from Gross number 1 and Cooper number 2. But that must again been a very balanced weight class, because Cooper went into overtime in the semifinals and Antoniak only won 3-1, and I know he won in the last remaining seconds. So we're in overtime now. This is a very evenly matched weight class. A takedown's going to win it. So far, the only takedown in the match was scored by Brad Cooper in the 1st period. Both of Antoniak's points coming on escapes.
And of course, the situation, whoever scores wins the championship. And if there is no scoring in this period, then it will go to a 30-second sudden death period, where one wrestler will be on bottom and one on top. And if the wrestler on the bottom scores points, he wins. If the wrestler on the top is able to hold him, then he wins. So we will have a winner in that situation.
Antoniak dropped me in on a double there. Cooper able to fight it off. In a situation like this, you would hope the referee will let the wrestlers decide the match and not call a stalling call, and have the referee actually decide who wins the match. I would hope that somebody's going to win it. One of the wrestlers will win it.
Still a little over a minute to go here in the overtime.
A quick snap down by Antoniak, not able to spin around. They go out of bounds. A minute to go in the overtime period.
Again,
like you said, if it ends still tied, they're going to flip the coin, and whoever gets his choice.
You told me earlier, RJ, that you don't really like that situation too well, but the only thing is you didn't give me an alternative. I said, what could you? I like it better than the old ref's decision that they used to do. So
yeah, I
as an alternative, I like it.
I do like the sudden death of the first 2 minutes. The only thing I don't like is that the coin toss really can decide who wins the match, because if the wrestler's really adept at getting out of the bottom, he wins the coin toss. He takes down, he's probably going to win, and it basically has come down to the coin toss. Oh, now they just warned Antoniak.
So you'd like to see them wrestle until they pass out, right?
They actually, when they first came out with this rule on the college level, they did do that. It was no time limit, sudden death, and matches were lasting 20 minutes in overtime, and no one would score. And so that's when they did change it to this, and I don't think they've come up with a better solution yet to this situation.
See, it's interesting. You mentioned you think that the wrestler on the bottom has the advantage. I think the wrestler on top has the advantage. And of course, the real truth is it's whether you're better.
I don't think it's one way or another. Definitely.
But we have 36 seconds remaining in this, so still plenty of time for either one to get a takedown. They're tied 2-2. Scott Antoniak of Omaha Gross in the blue and Brad Cooper of Ogallala in the black. We're at Class B, 160-pound state champions. We will run down the other winners here a little bit later on in this weight class.
I agree, no points there.
Yep.
Both up. Yeah, I don't think, one top or bottom, either one has the advantage. It just really depends on what your style of wrestling is.
You got to like this. Antoniak comes in ranked at #1 and Cooper #2, and so they've really proven that they're the two best in their class, no doubt about it. And you also see the two best are very even. We're down to 8 seconds and counting. It looks like we'll have a 30-second sudden death overtime. And it's going to be interesting. I would think it's interesting who gets the flip of what they decide to do.
Let's see how it happens. Antoniak's red and Cooper's green. Let's see what the flip comes up. It's red, Antoniak. He's going to take down. He's gotten 2 escapes. And he got the first one relatively easy. The second one, Cooper did ride him for a while, so we're going to see what happens. Got to remember again, those warnings, both of them have been warned. I don't think Antoniak's going to get called for stalling in this situation, but Cooper could. If he chooses to just grab an ankle and hang on, they could easily warn him for stalling and award the match to Antoniak.
Well, that's the other thing is the stalling situation in this. I almost feel that they ought to, because of the way it's set up, they ought to throw any kind of stalling out in this last 30 seconds. Because the whole idea is to see whether
quite possibly, but what happens is a top wrestler could grab a hold of the legs and just hang on, and there's nothing the bottom wrestler can do. Maybe if they would call the
right now is still trying to ride tough is Brad Cooper, and Cooper doing a good job.
Both good action by both wrestlers in that situation. Not much time wore off, and still 19 seconds. That's a lot. Like I said, last night I saw several matches won on this same situation with 1 second left.
And again, just hanging on for dear life is Brad Cooper. Antoniak trying to get the escape.
Nothing
Cooper
yet.
still locked up on him and gets him out of bounds.
No change yet.
Oh, and the coaches from Omaha Gross thinking that they ought to get a penalty point, but I don't think so in that situation. 11 seconds to go now in this sudden death double overtime. And it appears as Cooper needs to take an injury timeout, or either that or he has some blood again.
That was a situation that was real close to Antoniak getting the escape. He wasn't if he would have been able to face him and break the lock out from around his back of Cooper's, then he would have got the 1-point escape, but Cooper was able to hang on, get him out of bounds without breaking the lock from around his back. 11 seconds to go. Lots of time still.
In case you're joining us late, we do want to mention to you that Donnie and Kenny Nordhus both won state titles to become the first wrestlers to win 4 straight state titles since 1950. So we want to mention that. And it really brought a lot of excitement here to the state championships. And we're down to 6 seconds now. Brad Cooper, the junior from Ogallala, facing Scott Antoniak of Gross, another junior. 6 seconds remaining, double overtime. And it appears as Cooper will be able to hang on down to 1 second, and he does.
Great match. Fantastic. Scott Antoniak's first loss of the season. Sorry to see that, but a great match for Brad Cooper.
Now, I've got to ask you, what did it, when you win in sudden death like that, what do they call it?
I think they're actually calling it, the score is 2-2, judge's decision is the way they've
I was quizzing you, but I found out yesterday they still call it a judge's decision. I guess you could say that if it goes that way, then the judge decides. But we've completed our matches now at 160 pounds, and Brad Cooper wins in double overtime.
Cooper, another brother of his wrestled in a lighter weight class earlier today, and like you said, this wrestling is really a family sport.
We just want to tell you the team title-wise, Omaha Gross, Omaha North, and Greeley have all won team titles in respective classes. The only one undecided yet is in Class C between David City Aquinas and Albion, and a big match coming up here shortly because in Class C, we'll have a wrestler from David City Aquinas. Let's wrap up the results now at 160 pounds in Class A. TJ Goeglein gets a big win, 5-2 over Scott Nachtigal of Kearney. In Class B, Brad Cooper of Ogallala wins by judge's decision over Scott Antoniak of Omaha Gross. In Class C, Dusty Noha of Wahoo wins 7-3 over Chris Bohr of Albion. And in Class D, it's Terry Harms of Weeping Water with a 6-3 win over John Howell of Mullen. Now let's set up the championship matches.